This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, and Happy New Year, Orlando Magic fans. You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. It is January 3rd, 2022. It's going to take some time getting used to saying that. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is it Happy New Year? Is it happy?
Maybe in my personal life, but as a fan and for this show, I knew there was a great chance we'd start out 0-1, but I didn't know it would hurt this bad.
Well, you know, Kevin and I talked last week. We figured we were going 0-3 this week, which is really what happened. So we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So because of that, I want to get right into like the housekeeping stuff. We want to shout out our patrons. Shout out to Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Keith Garcia, Zico, Carson Tulo, Nathan Lynn, Ellis, Norm L, Magic Player History, and Giulio. Folks, we'll go through our weekly state of the Magic. So this week, your Orlando Magic went 0-3 with a 127-110 loss at home to the Bucks on Tuesday. They squared off against the Bucks again on Thursday at home, came up short 136-118, then a 111-116 overtime loss in Boston on Sunday. This week brings the Magic to a record of 7 wins, 30 losses. They have the second worst record in the Eastern Conference and the second worst record in the NBA. Coming into Sunday, they were 28th in offensive rating, 27th in defensive rating, 30th dead last in the NBA in net rating. Admiral Schofield, Hassani Gravett, Tim Frazier, and Freddie Gillespie were all signed to second 10-day contracts, utilizing the NBA's hardship exemption. Injury report: Jonathan Isaac, Michael Carter-Williams, Etuan Moore, Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, and Jalen Suggs all remain out. Tuesday before the Magic's game against the Bucks, Jamal Mosley said Jalen Suggs is progressing along slowly from a fractured right thumb. Luke will talk more about that in a little bit. And then Mo Bamba, Ignas Brazdeikis, Franz Wagner, Terrence Ross, Michael Mulder, and Hassani Gravett, all returned from the health and safety protocol this week, while Chuma Okeke remains in the health and safety protocol. Markelle Fultz and Robin Lopez entered the health and safety protocol this week. Okay, we're going to do things a little bit differently this week, folks. Usually we start with the first game of the week. However, Luke and I are pretty pissed off. The Magic just lost in overtime Sunday night in Boston to the Celtics. And, we're going to go ahead and talk about that game. So the story that I felt, Luke, was that this game was really the story of Magic runs. It seemed like in every quarter of this game, the Magic had a big run. They had a 12-2 run in the first quarter. They had a 14-4 run in the second quarter. They had a 20-8 run in the third. They were up 12 going into the fourth quarter, Luke. And they even had an 8-0 run in the fourth quarter, Luke. They were up 14 with 4.5 minutes to go in this game, completely choked. The Celtics tie it up. We go into overtime, and the Magic lose. So we can talk about how, 30 seconds ago or something like that, the Magic are trying to inbound the ball. Franz Wagner can't get the ball inbounds, gets called for the 5-second call. Jamal Mosley sitting right there with the ref counting in front of him. And then, the next possession or a couple possessions later, the Celtics miss. Wendell Carter Jr. gets the rebound, passes the ball to Tim Frazier before the Magic are able to call a timeout. So with 0.6 seconds left, the Magic have to inbound the ball from the backcourt, try to get a shot up. Shocker, they don't score. They go into overtime, and they end up losing in overtime, Luke. But up 14 on the road in the fourth quarter, I just feel like this is an inexcusable loss. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible all the way around, right? I mean, you thought the Magic kind of had it in the bag. The boos came out in Boston because the Magic were beating them. The 7-win Magic were up on the Celtics, and they've been struggling this year. I think they were 17-19 or something coming into tonight. And they had a frustrated arena. The Magic had all the momentum, and it just kind of slowly went away. You had obviously the 50 bomb from Jalen there, Jalen Brown, and so when it came to that timeout, the situation you saw on the replay, obviously on the inbound when you Mosley knows we're getting close to that 5-second point. He sees where the ref is at. He should know he has a timeout. Doesn't do anything. I don't know what better time you're saving it for than the next time, which he didn't call timeout with anyway. Wendell comes down with that rebound. You can see, I was watching the Celtics stream, and you can see T. Ross in the background when they showed the replay in kind of slow motion. T. Ross signals for a timeout, like right behind Dell. And I don't know, man. I mean, Mosley should have called a timeout. Dell should have called a timeout. Maybe the ref should have seen Ross calling for a timeout. There was just so many things in that moment that should have happened, and none of it did. And I get that this is a young team, Jonathan. I understand that basically, like, whatever it is, like 45% of the roster is G League players, essentially, it feels like. And I understand this. But when Jamal Mosley, who has been coaching for a long time,
16 years prior to this season,
we are now 37 games through the season. And it's hard to say that maybe one or two could have been turned into wins if Jamal Mosley just knew how to coach situationally. And it's just getting frustrating. I get why he's here. I'm not by any means calling for his head at this point. There's, coaches should be able to grow, but he is also subject to criticism. And it's just, it's infuriating because you and I, who didn't play above the high school level, know from an IQ standpoint, you've got to get the ball in 5 seconds. So many people knew that, and that's why he's catching so much heat right now from Magic fans after this game, because it does feel like that. And I know that we can, point to the refs, and they sure helped that, Jonathan. I'm sure that's a direction we're going to go and try to talk about some of those just ridiculous things that happened. But in the end, I think the Celtics shot one more free throw than the Magic. Like, when it came to the shooting fouls, whatever, I have a hard time putting it there when I know for a fact that what we can control is the coaching, timeouts, and all those things in those scenarios. And it just seemed like the Magic did everything they could to lose this game once having that lead in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're up 14 with 4.5 minutes to go. 4 fourth quarter turnovers for the Orlando Magic, 1 for the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics finished this game with 21 turnovers. The Magic were able to stay in this game because for most of this game, the Celtics would not stop giving us the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, the Magic end up shooting 8 more field goal attempts in this game. In terms of free throws, you shoot 1 less free throw, like you said, than the Boston Celtics tonight. But like the fourth quarter, when it's winning time, the Celtics are a veteran team. You saw guys out there, Jalen Brown, Al Horford, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, Josh Richardson, even like Grant Williams. Like, these are all guys who have playoff experience, who have been in these types of situations before. And like Franz Wagner, just kind of looked a little bit shook at times in that fourth quarter, especially when the Celtics started to go on that run. Has a in and out layup towards the end there, coughed the ball up to Marcus Smart. And then each time it's like, all right, let's get Franz back involved. And from that point, it looked like he was kind of a little bit intimidated. We haven't seen that many times this season. We've seen it against LeBron James when they played the Lakers. He just did not look ready to take on LeBron. Jimmy Butler gave him a lot of problems, and then tonight Marcus Smart gave him a lot of problems, and we kind of saw that in the fourth quarter. But people want to talk about having a lot of young guys or G League guys. Like, if we want this team and we think that this team can eventually be good, you cannot excuse being up 14 with 4.5 to go and just totally choking up the lead, and you end up losing that game. Now, sure, like Jalen Brown went crazy, 21 points in the fourth quarter, 9 of 12 from the floor. Like, I don't know that there's too much else the Magic could have done.
The Magic didn't have the personnel to guard him.
Yeah, if this is a different story. If you've got, even a guy like Chuma Okeke or like a Michael Carter Williams, or obviously like a healthy Jonathan Isaac, And, we talk more about that in a little bit. But, just didn't really have the personnel to slow down, Jalen Brown. And then, he has 3 points in the overtime. But you look at Dennis Schroeder, 8 points. A lot of that came from the free throw line. But yeah, the sad thing tonight, Luke, was like we've been begging our veterans to give us something all year, and the veterans that we've been pointing at all year, Gary Harris and Terrence Ross, both of those guys balled out tonight. Gary Harris with 23 points, Terrence Ross with 33 points on 19 shots. Both
Tim
of them
Frazier
with
14
tonight.
points, veteran baby.
Yeah, I mean Tim Frazier, scored the tying bucket at the end of regulation. So
he's 31. That's why I say that, guys. But but yes.
I mean, we can sit here and argue, why he played 39 minutes and why a guy like R.J. Hampton only played 11 and a half minutes tonight. Like, if we're really developing these guys, like you want R.J. Hampton in that moment, but at the same time, you kind of also want to go for the win. You're on the first night of a back-to-back. Like, I kind of get it, but like we talk about at the end of overtime. The Magic are down, I think it was 3 with 6 seconds left, and I think it was Josh Richardson just runs over Tim Frazier, and he falls to the ground. No call. And then it turns into a jump ball. And, of course, Tim Frazier's not going to win the jump ball over. I think it was Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
And, and then the game's over at that point. So, not trying to, like, blame everything on the refs. Like, the Magic definitely lost this game. But there were some very inconvenient moments where they swallowed the whistle tonight that did not benefit the Magic. Like Jalen Brown dropped a 50-burger tonight on 29 shots, 65% from the floor, 50% from the three-point line. He made 5 threes tonight. Probably not going to win that game most of the time, but I just keep going back to up 14, 4.5 minutes to go. It's like, oh, we kind of are like comfortably on our way to a win, and then the Magic just like completely choke. Like, I think they're up 14 with 4.5 minutes to go, and I think they score 4 points the rest of the game. So yeah, 4.5 minutes to go. You're up 96-82, and then they basically go on an 18-4 run to finish regulation. You're tied at 100 as you go into the final period, and then the Celtics are just the more veteran savvy team, and we couldn't get much offense going. In the overtime period. Like, it looks like the game is completely over. You're down by 6, and then all of a sudden Terrence Ross hits the and one from the corner with a minute to go, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game, and just not able to capitalize on that. Just really, really frustrating. Late Horford 3 in the corner, 27 seconds left to go in overtime. Yeah. We are like, okay, the game is over now. Like, we're not going to win this. That, and then, like, missed free throws, like, down the stretch. Like, I know Wendell missed a couple. Franz missed a couple of free throws late. So
important ones, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Every point in this game ended up being, really important. And, yeah, the Magic, they leave 5 points on the free throw line tonight.
Yeah.
You could kind of argue that was the difference. Like, I think, every time the Magic got down in this game, they like kind of responded with a run of their own to kind of keep themselves in it. So I can't really point to any like one moment that lost them this game other than the 4.5 minutes to end regulation.
Right.
So I think that's all that we're gonna say about that. I mean, I think we needed to get on here and vent a little bit about that. It was really frustrating. I was watching the post game with Jamal Mosley, and the Fox Sports, the Bally Sports broadcast kind of went back to the broadcast desk kind of in the middle of the post-game interview. So I don't know if Mosley was asked about, that late timeout and whether or not he considered taking that timeout or what happened there, or why, he didn't call the timeout at the end of overtime where, Tim Frazier had the turnover.
Is that a programming thing with Bally Sports? They had to get back to the desk. Was it a time crunch? Because I don't know on what planet they think we want to hear the broadcast desk table talk about the end of the game or whatever they talk about when Mosley is right there and we could hear the answers. Obviously, we'll read it in articles later what his quotes were via tweets, but that's frustrating, man.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't understand that. I'm just hoping that because obviously you don't want to just go into a post-game, press conference and kill your coach over every, mistake that they made. But like you said, like criticism is still, fair and warranted. And, fans want to know, why certain, and I think general, like management should want to know why he made, certain decisions, down the stretch there. So anyways, Luke, let's move on to a little.
I have
you got something else.
One last piece here, just a stat that Dan Savage put out there. I think it was, I don't know if it was via Magic PR, but he tagged him. I don't know if you saw this. Jalen Brown's 47 at the time, obviously turned out to be 50, is the most points ever scored against the Magic by a Boston player. The previous high was 46, set by Larry Bird, March 16th, 1990, at Orlando. So there's your
the second season.
Yep. There's your fun piece of
That's
information. Jalen Brown hung the most ever on the Magic by a Boston player.
Well, the good news is I have Jalen Brown on my fantasy team, and my
matchup
matchup against producer Kevin is kind of coming down to the stretch here. So maybe Jalen Brown will help me pull that out. That'd be great because Kevin's team has been killing it, and my team's sitting at like 500 right now. So we'll see. All right, Luke, let's transition. We're going to we kind of did this out of order, but now we're going to jump back to Tuesday versus the Bucks. We're really just going to spend most of the time talking about Franz Wagner because he was amazing. As rough of a fourth quarter and overtime that he had tonight, he was equally as incredible Tuesday night. So this was, Luke, the first time the Magic faced the Bucks since their little mini series that they had in Milwaukee back in November, where the Magic dropped 2 in a row to the Bucks by an average of 20 points. Hassani Gravett, Robin Lopez got the start along with Gary Harris, Wendell Carter, and Franz Wagner. In the first half, everything kind of went wrong for the Orlando Magic. They shoot 41% from the floor, 13% from the three-point line, to Milwaukee's 56% from the floor and 54% from three. And the second half of this game, honestly, is what really mattered for the Magic. Spoiler, they did not win, but Franz Wagner scored 27 second-half points on his way to 38 points, 14 in the third, 13 in the fourth quarter. The Magic lose 127-110. But Franz Wagner, absolutely the story in this game. 38 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He was 12 of 20 from the floor, 4 of 8 from the three-point line, and 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Luke, what did you think of Franz Wagner in this game Tuesday night?
I think that, we know that he has been great, especially for a rookie, right? Like, relatively, for a rookie, he has been great comparatively to everybody else in the rookie class, aside from, a couple others. He has been great. That performance against the Bucks made me rethink how I think of Franz Wagner. Like, regardless of the circumstance and who's out and how much the team is having to rely on him, there is definitely a world where Franz Wagner, a different universe where he just folds and doesn't do anything in that game. Had every right to. This team was not obviously full health and was still able to go out there and give you 38, which is just ridiculous. And like I said, made me really rethink how I think about him and what his ceiling is. His stat line's ridiculous. Shoots 60%. He shorts 38 on 20 shots. Gets to the free throw line. I think the most impressive and probably overlooked, got to the free throw line and shot 10 free throws in that game, made all of them. He just was in the zone. He had a Euro over Giannis with like 7 minutes left in the game, and he looked like a vet. There's games tonight, or if you're listening to this, yesterday night, that he's going to look like a rookie. But as we've said before, there are more times than not he looks more like a vet than he does a rookie, especially in the face of adversity. With his roster being out basically entirely, he's playing with a bunch of G Leaguers and doing the best that he can. Yeah, there's some nights he's going to look off. But think about how many times, like if you told us before the season, Jonathan, Franz Wagner is going to play a significant amount of games his rookie season without a healthy roster. He's not going to have Jalen Suggs for a few weeks, Cole Anthony, all these guys are going to be in protocols. If you would have told me that before, I'd be like, Franz maybe gives you, 8, 7 a game, maybe plays well defensively, continues to do what we know he can do and just make the lives of everybody around him easier. He doesn't make the lives of everyone just around him easier. He dominates the game and is able to, and it's just been crazy. So I think that while, yes, games like that against Boston suck, and to see Franz struggle in that game suck, there's going to be games where his points that he scores matches the amount of field goals that he took. But he's a rookie. And so for him to come in against Giannis and put up more than Giannis and contribute more than Giannis, I mean, just ridiculous. He could be a star.
So, I mean, the most impressive thing to me in this game was, like, they were definitely, especially the first half, they were throwing, like, a lot of different looks at him, like, covering him differently, like, in the pick and roll. And he even said that after the game, like, it took me a little bit to kind of figure that out. But in, like, 27 of his 38 in the second half, they weren't just throwing anybody at him. Like, they were, like, Chris Middleton was guarding him at times, Drew Holiday at times, Giannis at times. Like, they blitzed him with Drew and Giannis a couple of times in the pick and roll. And I think what you're referring to late in the fourth quarter is he splits Drew and Giannis, and then the Euro step and finishes over Giannis at the rim. And it's stuff like that is like, okay, we all kind of knew that he was like a good cutter and everything like that during Summer League. And the knock on him was he's just not knocking down his open looks. Like, the 3-point shot looked really shaky during Summer League. But he wasn't showing flashes of stuff like this whatsoever. Like, the ability to navigate pick and roll and to do different things off of the dribble and kind of like the acrobatic finishes that we're seeing. Like, he caught it in the corner. His man closed out on me. He pump faked and had like an up and under, like, reverse off of the glass with finish with the left hand. And it's every game like that. We'll talk about, Thursday's game against the Bucks. But he kind of had like a relocation. He got the ball back on the right wing and then took 1 pound dribble into like the 3-step kind of, the 0-step plus the 1-2 from the corner, nothing but net. And it's stuff like that you're seeing tonight. It was the pocket pass to Wendell Carter in the second half. That's like, what can't this kid do? I think that's a fair question to start to ask. We kind of want to have this conversation a little bit more, a little bit later in the podcast, but I think it's a fair question. Like, this game really put his stamp on Rookie of the Month for the month of December in the NBA. If tomorrow is when they're expected to announce the Rookie of the Month, and if he's not, I'm just gonna like completely freak out and rant and stomp my feet and all of that on Twitter because the guy clearly deserves it. So, again, Franz, 38 points in this game. Wendell Carter, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 28 points. You got 21 from Chris Middleton, 18 from Drew Holiday. A guy that also looked pretty good in this game, DeMarcus Cousins. It's fun to see DeMarcus Cousins back and like playing at least kind of well in the NBA. So for good for DeMarcus. So let's fast forward to Thursday versus the Bucks. So in this one, no Robin Lopez. He entered the health and safety protocol. Orlando went into this game trying to avoid the season sweep by the Bucks. First half, really the same story as Tuesday's game. Poor shooting half for the Magic in the first half. Trail 12 at halftime. A great third quarter for the Magic, shooting almost 58% for the quarter. They take a 1-point lead in the middle of the third before the Bucks close on a 16-5 run. Magic down 11 entering the fourth. Fourth quarter, really all Giannis. 16 in the final quarter gave the Bucks a 17-point lead early in the fourth, which they just kind of rode to victory. Magic lose 136-118. Franz Wagner again leading the Magic in scoring, 20 points, 6 of 12 from the floor. And then Mo Wagner, 19 points.
Wagen Dogs, baby.
Wagen Dogs, baby. That's right. That's right. Nobody uses that. It never really caught on, so I don't say it anymore. But I still think it's pretty funny, to be perfectly honest.
When they're both leading the team in scoring, I say we say it,
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. But, yeah, Giannis just really proved to be too much. You get 33 from him, Chris Middleton, 22, Drew Holiday, 25. When that trio is scoring over, 20 each, it's really going to be hard for the Magic to kind of stick with them. So not much we're starting to get kind of healthy as guys come back from the health and safety protocols. But when you've got this many guys hurt and you have this many, guys that are on these 10-day contracts, it's kind of hard to look too deep into what the flaws are with the team. We all know they don't really have a true point guard right now. They don't really have many good defenders or good rebounds. All of those are problems that have plagued the Magic all season long. Shot making, defending, rebounding, turnovers. Not having a point guard is always going to make that difficult. So we hate to keep saying this. I wanted to leave this in last year, Luke, but until the team gets healthy, it's going to be hard to really evaluate the team's strengths and weaknesses, and maybe getting guys back will help kind of cover up for some of other guys' shortcomings, Jamal Mosley included. Markelle Fultz goes into the health and safety protocols this week. We still don't know when we're going to see him back. No. Let's talk about this really quickly. I feel like this is worth talking about. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but there is a video taken from Cole Anthony's Snapchat in the Magic locker room. You see Jonathan Isaac take a total of 3 steps. 2 of the steps look perfectly normal, but then there's this kind of elongated step that he takes with the left leg that had people freaking out, thinking Jonathan Isaac is never going to be able to walk properly again. Therefore, he'll never be able to play again. But then we've seen other videos, kind of him, walking what seems to be normal. We've seen him jumping up and down on the bench.
Yeah.
Luke, what were your thoughts of that?
He should just retire,
Oh, boy, here we go.
That's no, stupid, right? I mean, it is. Now, I'll blame the front office for lack of transparency here.
100%
because
their
they've
fault.
got Magic fans. They've got Magic fans just looking at everything, literally Snapchat videos, and being like, "Oh,
you know how many games back I had to go to get 3 seconds of footage of Jonathan Isaac walking from Bally Sports Florida telecasts?"
Yeah,
I had to go back like 2 weeks of games, partly because they just never show him walking, but also because he wasn't with the team when like the breakout was happening and doesn't go on the road with the team. So,
right. Yeah, no, just ridiculous, man. Like you said, don't want to spend too much time, but there was a couple wild young fellas on Twitter talking about how J.I. should retire, and they were trying to ruffle some feathers. They're upset for one reason or another. We don't have to get into that, but people are just kind of like saying, like, writing off J.I., and it's like, I don't understand why this is happening, because I don't want to see you cheering for him when he comes back and he's killing it. A lot of you guys just throwing these hot takes out there, hoping it sticks and hoping to get a rise out of people. You got a rise out of me this week. Congratulations. Usually don't, but I had time.
I gotta say, Luke, this is the month for me.
Oh.
This is the month of wait a second. Don't get ahead of yourself. This is the month for me where I'm officially going to be like very fed up if we don't get some type of explanation.
Yeah.
Because this month it's going to be 18 months from the ACL tear.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at that point the front office owes it to the fans to let them know, hey, this is what's going on. If he's not, first of all, if he's not back, like, okay, I'm officially concerned. Like,
yeah,
I've kind of bought into, and maybe some of this is wishful thinking. I'm willing to admit that, but I bought into a little bit of the narrative of like, okay, he had both of these like, left knee injuries kind of back to back. So the Magic are basically just going to rebuild his strength and balance from the ground up so that, his body is perfectly balanced and to try to prevent something like this from happening again. But if he's not back in January, I'm officially concerned. We haven't heard anything from the front office in terms of him having some type of setback, the way that we, did from Al-Farouq Aminu when he suffered the meniscus tear and then was trying to, kind of recover from that and then had a setback and had to have surgery. We haven't. I'm giving the front office the benefit of the doubt that I won't think that he had a setback until we hear that he has.
Right.
But if we don't see him in January, then I'm like, I would say I definitely understand where people are coming from, and I think their concerns are valid and their thoughts are valid that a setback has happened. But I just, for whatever reason, maybe I just won't let myself realize it. That's entirely possible. But this is the month for me. If he's not back and we don't hear from the front office in terms of what happened, I find that very concerning, very unfortunate, very frustrating as a fan, because like at a certain point, like the fans are what keep the lights on. And for a cornerstone player who, if I'm not mistaken, outside of Gary Harris, is making more money than anyone on the roster, and we didn't sign Gary Harris to that contract.
Right.
In terms of the decisions the front office has made, Jonathan Isaac is getting paid more than anyone. We've invested the most into him. He's the longest tenured Magic player. So at this point, I feel like the fans deserve an explanation from the front office. You don't have to set a timetable, but just come out and tell us what happened. I feel like they owe at least that much to us. And if not, that will definitely that'll say a lot, about the front office and kind of what they think about the fans, at least to me. But
right.
Another guy, Markelle Fultz. We hoped that he was coming back pretty soon. Now he's in the health and safety protocols. We still don't know when he's going to come back. I feel like there's a chance that he comes back from the health and safety protocols and within like a week or two is back. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we know, and obviously Kobe Price, who recently started covering the team, confirmed as well, right? Someone was like, is Markelle, is he going to be back after he gets out of health and safety protocols? And Kobe was like, no. He just flat out, like, he's not going to be playing after he gets back.
Not immediately.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, like, yeah, probably a week or two, I hope. I mean, it just feels, honestly, Jonathan, it just feels like we're never going to see Markelle and J.I. play ever again.
It feels like that, doesn't it? How sad is that?
It does.
Like, I don't even think we're being dramatic or like that's hyperbole. It really does feel like that.
We're just in the dark. We have no idea. Like, we have no clue. And I think that's, like you said, you're giving it kind of the end of the month and you're going to be like concerned. And it's either going to be concern about J.I.'s injury or concern about the front office or both. But,
it's both.
Yeah. And man, it sucks because I would love to say, like, I could say with the same amount of confidence we'll see J.I. this month. I could also say with the same amount of confidence we're not going to see him the rest of the year. That's where I'm at.
That is scary,
dude. It is, and it's.
And I at this point I don't blame people for saying that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it. Like you said, I don't think that's necessarily dramatic. It's just like we just are so not misinformed. We're uninformed about the whole thing. We have no idea, no clue.
And I don't think that the front office not kind of keying fans into what's happening with injured players makes them bad at their jobs. That's just not the way that I would prefer a front office to kind of handle like fan relations when it comes to players that they're invested to. I feel like they go to such the extreme, and I feel like there's a way to kind of play the middle where you're not putting pressure on the player, but you're also, keeping the fans involved.
From other teams.
You see it with 29 other franchises in the NBA.
Yeah, and it's not lack of talent of running a front office. It's just simply their priorities. Like, I just think their priorities, like, fans aren't that high. Let's be completely honest, Jonathan. The Magic don't have the biggest fan base. Amway, regardless, to be completely honest, so much of their revenue and ticket sales are tourists that know nothing about the team. So you think it's not far-fetched.
Don't forget about other teams' fans.
Exactly. So the Magic feel like probably there's no lower that they feel like they can go. This is the worst 37-game start in franchise history, and you're still able to get fan butts in seats because of tourists, away team, the away team fans. It's just not out of the realm of possibility that they just aren't prioritizing the fans, and they're continuing to solidify that by how broad they are, not letting things out. Don't get me wrong. A lot of times it's good, right, from an organizational standpoint that nothing gets out. But it's coming to a fault. Like, there are some things that should be let out, and I feel like they don't really know what that is and where the line is. And on top of that, I feel like they don't prioritize the fans, and it's unfortunate, but it does feel that way.
I feel like they know. I feel like they don't care. They think this is the right way to handle things, and they're going to go like about that. At the end of the day, what the fans want, like, sometimes it's like, you think you want that, but you don't. Really what they know the fans want is a winning product. Like, if we're 30-7 instead of 7-30, like, we're not talking about this at all.
No,
even if they're not telling us about injured players. You know what I mean? So, like, that I kind of get where they're coming from. Like, no, what you really want is a winner. You don't want us telling you everything. But if we don't have either, at least give us something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So last thing I wanted to ask you about before we talk a little bit more about Franz. So I mentioned Tuesday, Jamal Mosley mentioned that Jalen Suggs is kind of progressing slowly from the injury. I believe the injury occurred like November 29th, I believe it was, a Monday. So this past Tuesday, they talked about how they were going to reevaluate him every 2 weeks. And this Tuesday was kind of like the second 2-week increment. And for them to come out and say, oh, he's progressing slowly, what that says, in my opinion, is that he's not like tracking the way that he should be. If they said, oh, he's still a ways away, but he's progressing well, I would not be worried at all. But the fact that they're saying he's progressing slowly, and it's like, how many times do we have to hear that a guy, his injury is progressing slowly? Obviously, Jonathan Isaac's injury is progressing slowly. He's 6 months past
more than slowly.
The normal time. Yeah, exactly. Time like slow is an overstatement at this point, or an understatement. To me, they're setting this up so that another 2 weeks, which would be like the 11th when he's due, I guess, to get reevaluated. They're setting it up to be like, oh, he's not fully healed. Like, if it's a fracture that didn't require surgery, that tells me it's not quite that bad. And a normal fracture, especially in the hand, I've researched this, usually fractures in the fingers and the hands, they tend to heal more on like the quick side than like, a really bad fracture, a really bad break, which can take sometimes like 12 weeks. But they're kind of like setting it up to, when we hit that 6-week mark, like, oh, Jalen's not ready. I'm already preparing myself for that.
Oh, man.
I don't know how you feel about that. And then we haven't talked about this stuff that's going on with Cole, like sprained the ankle, missed like 6 games, came back for a few games, then was out a game, played a game, now he's out again. But yet, Wendell dunks on Giannis the other night, and Cole and Jalen are jumping up and down, hugging each other in a full circle, not concerned about the ankle whatsoever. We see Cole standing 95% of these games. Like, bad optics is like putting it lightly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like, the front office wants to lose these games.
Can they make that any more apparent, by the way?
No, they were so happy to see Tim Frazier play that many minutes tonight. They were like,
they were about to cut him when he hit that game-tying layup, though.
Absolutely. But like, Mosley probably, will get on the plane and he'll have, an expensive bottle of wine sitting there for him, and he'll say, "Love, John and Jeff.
Love, Jeff."
Yeah. Good job, champ. So
what do you think the chances are that everyone comes off of the health and safety protocol and they find some reason to sign Tim Frazier to a 10 third day or a third 10 day? I don't even know if that's possible.
A 10 third day.
A 10 third day. A third 10 day. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're just going to give him like a fully guaranteed contract for the rest of the season.
Just waive Brazdeikis, which Magic fans would love anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna waive Brazdeikis. They're gonna they're gonna do some outlandish things to keep this ball rolling. They're setting up for like Markelle, Cole, Jalen, J.I. to come back fully healthy and like rip off like a 10-game win streak and it not be able to matter, because it just won't matter.
I feel that way too.
I think that they're just doing everything they can to brace, because they're like, man, this team might be able to win some games. Tim Frazier, you feel good? That's great, because you're going to play the whole game tonight.
It's second night of a back-to-back. You're 31, Tim. You're young.
They're going to treat.
Good to go.
They're going to. You're young. They're going to treat Tim Frazier like it's Kobe Bryant's last game and just let him shoot everything when he touches the ball.
Tomorrow or tonight, when you're listening to this, when we take on the Bulls, they're going to rest R.J. Hampton second night of a back-to-back for rest. When he played 11 minutes and 30 seconds tonight. And
Tim Frazier's going to play somehow 35. Play more, and the game's not going to go to overtime.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. All right, Luke, let's go back to Franz, because I think like there's some more context. There's more of a conversation to be had here. So we've talked about how we expect him to be the rookie of the month for the month of December. So 19.5 points per game in the month of December, which leads all rookies. 5.1 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.1 steal per game, 47% from the floor, 40% from the three-point line, 88.9% from the free throw line. On the season, Luke, he's averaging 15.8 points per game, which is first amongst all rookies. And this is like qualifying rookies that have played more than 20 games this year. So first in points, 4.7 rebounds, which is good for 8th, 2.7 assists, which is good for 6th, 1.1 steals, which is tied for 3rd. He's shooting 44.9% from the floor, which is good for 9th amongst rookies, 37% from the three-point line, which is good for 3rd, 83.8% from the free throw line, which is good for 6th. So in almost every statistical category, he's top 10 amongst rookies. He has 3 of the top 5 scoring performances by a rookie this season, 38 points, 28 points, and 27 points, which he scored twice. The 38 points that he scored on Tuesday is tied for the 3rd highest scoring performance by a Magic rookie all time. And this month, 19.5 points, 2nd highest December scoring average by a Magic rookie. Tuesday, after the game, when Giannis was asked about Franz Wagner, he said, "I think the sky is the limit for him, for real."
Injected
Luke,
into my veins.
I know I don't want to go back through this draft thing because let's just face it, everyone was wrong. Like, everyone was wrong about Franz. Magic fans were wrong about Franz.
The people who were most in tune with college basketball were wrong about Franz.
Yeah. And we've kind of, like, I feel like every 10 games we have to recalibrate what Franz could be.
Yeah.
Like, I think Franz, I'm very confident in saying that Franz will most likely make an all-star game at some point during his career, at his current trajectory.
I'll raise you one. Call this recency bias. Call it whatever you want. I don't really care at this point. I'm gonna be insufferable.
Pants off.
Multiple all-star appearances. Multiple. I'm going multiple. If the Magic can track with this young core and continue to get better, the Magic are going to be good enough to compete, and Franz Wagner is going to be a key cog in this whole thing. Take December, whatever you want, right? I mean, say, oh, his whole team is basically out. Of course he's putting up numbers. Like I said earlier, he could have folded. Also, let's not act like the rookies that are healthy and not in health and safety protocols aren't dealing with the very banged up and injured team or COVID, health and safety protocol stuff either, and they didn't do what Franz was able to do. I know that a couple of key rookies were out due to health and safety protocols, but Franz, just what he's been able to do, man, I mean, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely insane. Just his last 5 games, he had 25 points, 20 points, 13 points, 38 points, 20 points. And then obviously tonight he struggled 14. A little bit too.
We don't have to go there, but
we don't need to talk about that. All right. No, but that's what I'm saying, man. Like, his level of productivity, it seems like we set a bar for Franz, and he clears it by miles.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's a challenge for him. He's taking guys off dribbles. He's making these ridiculous passes. And there's things that you wish might be higher, like rebounding, things like that. But you've got, guys like Wendell who are able to eat up those rebounds. I mean, I don't think that's that much of an issue. He was getting to the free throw line in December. I mean, he was doing everything. And so I have no problem truly saying it wouldn't shock me if Franz makes multiple All-Stars, which this is coming from a guy who 2 months ago was saying he'll be a good role player and he could have a long career as a result. I mean, you heard it right from Giannis. Sky's the limit for this guy.
I just have a hard time every time I try to put a ceiling on Franz. I can't find a reason why I can do that. Like, you put out the question on our Twitter account a few days ago, on a fully healthy Magic roster, is Franz Wagner like a top 2 player? And I was like, I feel like it's too early to say that, but I also don't have a valid argument against that. Like, I can't even begin to formulate an argument against that.
Yeah.
Like, you just go, what do you need out of a good, elite high-level player? Needs to be able to shoot the ball at this, level. Check. Needs to be able to create for himself off of the dribble. Check. Needs to be able to create for others. Check. Needs to be, relatively athletic. Check. Like he's putting multiple guys on posters this season. Needs to be a solid defender. check. Will he ever be like an elite defender, like a Jonathan Isaac type of tier? I don't see that happening. But is he going to be like a guy that like could he make a second all NBA defensive team? I think so. I think that's probably like his best case scenario as a defender. And here I go putting a ceiling on Franz Wagner again.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's every few nights you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that he could do that. And it doesn't seem flukish. Like it seems very fluid. He's very confident. The kid is very fiery, like just always hyping himself up on the floor. Like I don't see any like big hole in his game that it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to figure out.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing, I mean, I words can't express how much I want to see this team fully healthy now. Not just to see like how good they are together, but who's the alpha? I mean, Cole and Franz could definitely be battling in terms of like, okay, which one of us are leading this team offensively? Because Cole goes out, you're without Jalen, Point Franz is in the building, and he's doing everything. He's making passes that I don't know if anybody else on the team might make besides Markelle. Like and even then, I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
I think I would still. It's very close between Franz and Kel. I don't think
in terms of vision or skill,
both. Vision, I would still give the edge to Markelle, but like the ability of passes that they're able to make, I still think Markelle is right there. I go back to a game 2 seasons ago against the Atlanta Hawks. Like he whipped this pass to Jonathan Isaac that John Collins made a great play and recovered on to block Isaac at the rim. But I just couldn't understand how Markelle was able to see that lane and make that pass. Yeah. And Franz's vision isn't like quite there. Like he's making advanced reads and like advanced passes. So like the ability is there, but I still think like Markelle has a very special like vision of like to be able to make plays. Like Franz has the ability, can make all the passes, but I still think Kel is like in the top tier of guys that are, just have like vision in the game. You talk about a guy like, Jokic or LeBron. Those guys I think have the vision and the ability. Like Jokic is one of the best passers that we've ever seen. But
right.
Like Markelle is like slightly below those types of guys in terms of his vision, at least for me.
I'm gonna say that the vision's close, but I don't. If I have to choose, I'm choosing Franz Wagner in terms of just like as a player. I'm already there.
Okay, you're talking about as a player in total. We're talking about as a passer. I'm talking about as a passer.
I know, right? As a like a passer and vision, right?
If I have one guy for now and forever, I'm taking Franz because like we've never seen Markelle do this. Oh dear God.
Yeah. So
taking Brazdeikis.
Yeah. No. So it wasn't as clear to me, so I want to make it clear for listeners. I think
we're talking passing.
Right.
I'm not talking
passing,
about as a player.
Vision and passing hand in hand there. Yeah. But it's ridiculous that we're even having this conversation.
It
right?
really is.
It's stupid. I mean, Franz Wagner, by the way, hasn't missed a game this year, whether it be to health and safety protocols. And no injuries so far. I'm hoping it stays that way.
Oh my God, dude!
Oh, when he went down,
he just slipped. Thankfully, but like he went down, and I was like, I've seen this with Jonathan Isaac. I've seen this with Markelle.
Well, we've said it before. We're conditioned to think worst case when a player goes down
every single time somebody.
And
goes
it's something
down,
that like a normal person would see the play and be like, "No, I mean he'll get up fine. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, you don't understand.
He's dead. You don't understand. He just died.
He is out for the rest of the year with that one." And they'll be like, "No, you're overreacting." I'm like, "No. I've seen some things. All right."
Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, like Franz it would not shock me if this kid becomes like a top like 15 to 20 player in the league.
Say it slowly. I listen, man. Like that. I hate that we're having to do this after he just had the game he had against Boston because it stinks that way. I wish we were able to do this like after his 38-point game. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. I have, Eric Fawcett, who we've had on the show a couple times here. I say every time I see a Franz Wagner tweet that just blows me away, a statistic, whatever it might be, like his, whatever it was, cutting the other day. that he was 100% finishing as when he's cutting, right? I sent that to him, whatever. And then I sent him, it's to the point where like I sent him a different thing, a different NBA related thing. I texted him a link and he said, to be honest, I was fully prepared for more Franz Wagner propaganda.
I said propaganda.
Yeah. And
that's
I was like,
thing.
Yeah. And so, but it's even guys like him who said, know college basketball and you play a big part in my opinions, because I just have conceded that he knows a lot more than I do about players and how they look in college and whatever, scouting wise. And so I had his expectations basically, right?
Which was everyone's expectation if we're like being 100.
And that's my point. And so, but it's to the point now where it's just like, he's like, man, he's blowing me away. I mean, what he's doing right now is not what I foresaw. And it doesn't matter the health of the team. I mean, this guy is just killing it right now.
And let's talk about how, like we always talk about how Magic players don't get enough recognition, and then Franz gets bumped up to number 1 on the Rookie of the Year ladder on NBA.com, and Twitter lost its freaking mind. I'm not talking about Magic Twitter. I'm talking about everyone else crying that Franz was number 1. Like, first of all, he's the only rookie that's played every single game this season. He's just had the best December. He's leading all rookies in scoring. Like, I don't know how it's that far fetched. Like, maybe you if you want to argue like Scotty Barnes or Evan Mobley, which are the guys that were ranked 2 and 3 on the rookie ladder, like I get it. But to just be like completely blown away that Franz Wagner
like it's
is
not
number
even
1.
Close.
Yeah. It's 18 games now that he scored double digits, like 18 consecutive games. He absolutely has been, by definition, the most consistent rookie. He's been doing this 18 games, like a month and a half now, and he's played in every single game. Like
and I it's to the point. I mean, after that rookie ladders thing came out with him being number 1, whatever, I was texting with a buddy of mine who's a Boston fan, who was before, like when the game was going poorly. Obviously, they've had a pretty rough season. He talked about I said, hey. Eman may need to go. Your coach may need to go. And he said, brother, anyone whose name doesn't end in Tatum or Brown may need to go, LOL. And then he ends up, making a joke about it after the game, being like, I'm just kidding. Nobody should be traded. We're title contenders. But he ended up saying, I don't get to watch many Magic games. YouTube TV basically blocks him from watching them in his area. He said, but Wagner's legit. And he said, yeah, Franz is insane. For me, easily Rookie of the Year right now. To which I said, done. A fan of another team said that our guy deserves Rookie of the Year as it stands. That's all I can ask for. I just want people to get recognition.
Actually, I do want to pour more fuel on this fire. If you look at the Raptors without Scotty Barnes, you look at the Cavs without Evan Mobley, there's been like very little, if any, drop off. Without Franz Wagner, the Magic legitimately might be 0-37 right now. Like, let's be 100% honest. Like, Franz is definitely lifting the Magic more than those other guys are lifting their teams, in my pseudo-professional opinion. So, Franz better. Cry to your mom. Sucks to suck. Weltham forever. Like, honestly. Like, seriously. This is the last point that I want to make. If Franz continues on this current trajectory, John Hammond and Jeff Weltman are going to be known for 2 things when they retire. It's drafting Giannis Antetokounmpo and drafting Franz Wagner at 8 in the 2021 draft.
And the Magic winning a championship.
Well, I mean, the Magic dynasty winning multiple championships, Luke. That's obvious. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
But in terms of their draft prowess, it's going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the probably going to end up, 5 to 10 best players of all time, and then Franz Wagner, the greatest player of all time. So that's quite the resume if you think about it.
When you really think about it. And the Franz Wagner thing, man, just the ability to see what he's going to be promised him. Like, they were very confident. And I was very not confident. And now I'm very confident.
I still think the Prince that was promised is a very underrated nickname for Franz.
I just feel like I'm listening to like a Disney narration.
Well, it's a Game of Thrones reference. It's not really like the same. Like, you have to have watched the show to kind of understand that, which I get.
Right.
But
Out of context, I can't.
Yeah, out
do
of context, I get it. Well, just
it's
like
clever. It's cute.
This is gonna be an unpopular opinion. I'm not a fan of the Only Franz. I don't find it that funny.
Is that because of what OnlyFans is, or because
that's probably part of it? But it's just like, what are you gonna do with that nickname? Is he posting pictures of his junk? No, he's hooping.
Right.
You know what I'm
He's
saying?
hooping. We're paying to watch him play. Maybe better. The franchise is good.
I would pay to watch him. I mean, we kind of do pay to watch him play. You know, I pay for direct TV stream. You pay to go to games. Like one way or the other, you're paying for it. Unless your name's Luke. Yeah, we don't have to go into too much detail there, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Luke, let's talk about the week ahead. So we play the Bulls tonight. What do you think the chances are that DeMar DeRozan hits 3 game winners in 3 consecutive games?
Depends.
There's a 0% chance because the game won't be that close. That's my opinion.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot that needs to happen. We need another Franz 38, 40 piece.
Maybe we get Cole Anthony back. That would be, if Cole comes back, I'll feel much better about this game.
Right. I would kill for a DeMar DeRozan, Franz Wagner duel, if you will. That'd be a fun one. I'm
here for that. I feel like the Magic, after getting pieced up by the Bulls, the day after Thanksgiving in Orlando, they're gonna
that was a fun one.
Be motivated. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be motivated for this game. So Monday, tonight at Chicago, 8:00 Eastern. Wednesday at home to take on the 76ers at 7:00, and then a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday at Detroit at 7:00, and then on Sunday home versus Washington. That game will start at 6. Luke, I've got us going 1-3 on the week. We're getting that win at Detroit on Saturday. Franz is going to dominate Cade Cunningham and further cement his case for Rookie of the Year.
I like that. I'm gonna say 2-2. I think they beat the Pistons, and then the Wizards, who are now 18-18 after having that hot start in Orlando. I think Wizards in Orlando. I think the Magic are going to win that game. I think they start out 0-2, and they finish 2-2.
Second night of a back-to-back, 2 wins in a row. That's juicy.
Yep,
I like that. Well, we'll see. All right, Luke. Anything else? Any other nuggets?
Franz Wagner, Rookie of the Year, and that's about it.
I concur. All right, folks. That is going to do it for this week's episode. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. Please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sixth Man Show, and like us on Facebook. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic.